Well, Arsenal didn't really need to win in midweek, but they did it anyway, and they've qualified for the Champions League top 8. 7 wins from 7, the only team to do that. A show of power. They are the favourites with the bookies to win it. Uh, is anyone sort of thinking to themselves that maybe somebody else will come up and pip them, or are we just convinced now that they're gonna win both competitions? Crook, it's a hard task. Not many people do that. You don't usually win the Premier League and the Champions League, do you?
No, but it was quite an impressive display. I watched it for talkSPORT in the San Siro to make that many changes, 7 I think it was in total, and still win with ease. I thought Gabriel Jesus was excellent and probably has given Mikel Arteta a bit of an issue when it comes to the United game this weekend, because I know that Gyökeres came on and scored, but Jesus' movement I think could be more of an issue for that Manchester United back line. In terms of the Champions League, on one of our Fiery Friday podcasts with Adrian Durham and Angelina Kelly, I did say we've got to resign ourselves to the fact Arsenal are going to at least win the double. The only nagging doubt in my mind is Liverpool, because I do think, as much as they're not pulling up trees in the Premier League, their style of play is suited to Europe. They prefer it when teams come onto them. Arsenal probably wouldn't do that over 2 legs, but obviously they've not scored against Liverpool this season. So I think if it came down to a showdown between those two, either in one of the knockout rounds or the final, I'd give Liverpool more than a puncher's chance, I think.
It's Manchester United this weekend for Arsenal. How difficult is this trip going to be for Manchester United to halt Arsenal? Or is Michael Carrick going to pull another rabbit out of the hat?
He might do. Just on that, I don't think. I mean, you just touched on it there, but to win the Premier League and Champions League, that's it's hardly ever done. Of course, it's been done, and for that reason, I think it's going to be very difficult, because I think it's all about the Premier League for Arsenal, and I do think they'll win that. And you look at what happened this time last season, PSG. No one talked about them, and they came through in the second half of the season. Bayern Munich. If Real Madrid get themselves together, and Barcelona as well, at the very end of this competition, you meet the best teams in Europe, and it's not an easy thing to do. So I personally don't think Arsenal will do it. I think they will win the Premier League and probably the Carabao Cup. But in terms of
You
United,
didn't include Benfica on that list, Scott.
I did
Unlike
not
you.
include Benfica. They have not done well. Yeah, just the 2 wins so far. But do you know what? They may get into the playoffs. Let's wait and see.
Never know. Never know. Never know.
Um,
In terms
I,
of the weekend, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think off the back of not just the result but the performance, then again this is almost everyone is expecting Arsenal to win this, so Mickey's got nothing to lose. And if he does the similar tactics in terms of just really, I mean, Arsenal don't play with a high line, and they've got much more pace than Manchester City, a much better defence, of course. Pressing wise, I think they're the best team in Europe. So if they can somehow beat the press and counter attack really well with the pace that they did at the weekend, then I wouldn't say they've got half a chance, but that's their best chance. But I do fancy Arsenal to be too strong here. What they did, the changes they made to go to Inter and win in the way they did, just shows at this moment in time, they're the best team in Europe. But we said the same about Liverpool last season.
And they've got a cracking depth, which nobody else really possesses. If they have a problem, it's in the striking position, where they don't have an out-and-out 20, 30 goal a season striker, but those are rare. Gabriel Jesus scored a brace in midweek. Gyökeres did score from open play. Kai Havertz has become a world beater, even though he hasn't kicked a ball for 10 months. He's got better and better. And actually, to be fair, I'm one of those who keep saying when he's back, he will lead the line, because when you do watch him, and I watched him down at Portsmouth the other week, there's a difference about him. There's a level that he's up a level, and I don't care. I know sort of our producer was sort of joking about that, saying he's got better when he's not been playing, but the truth is, actually, he is he's a certain level above the other two. He's unbelievable. Like he sees the pass, the weight of the pass, the culture on the pass. He's just got a little bit more than everybody else. As for Manchester United, Crookie basically booked an open top bus parade when they lost 1-0 at home because the performance was so good. Would you take another valiant defeat this weekend?
No, because I think there's an opportunity there for Manchester United to go and do what not many teams have done at the Emirates this season and come away with a positive result. I think if they play with the same energy they did against Manchester City, then certainly I think they're capable of getting a draw. Would I snap your hands off for a point? Absolutely. I think that would be a tremendous result given how strong Arsenal have been at home. They've had a full week to recover. I know they made changes, but Arsenal have had to go away from home in the Champions League. But I will caveat that and say that United's record at the Emirates, barring that FA Cup success last season, is pretty dreadful, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I suppose we probably should add into this, Scott, that we saw Manchester City in midweek. We saw them at the weekend. I saw them the week before as well. And they are not at their best. And obviously they're suffering with injury too, especially in that back line. But Mark Gay should be back this weekend. We'll get onto them in just a second. They take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. But that therefore maybe Manchester United's performance against them last week shouldn't be overstated. There's still a very lot of work to do for Manchester United to get to a point where they're really competitive.
Yeah, and if you look at the performances of some of them, like even Dorgu, who I know is Crookie's favourite player, and he's got a poster of him over his bedroom wall. He was brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, that was certainly very good anyway. And it's easy, sort of first game, new manager, and Mickey with the history he's got with the club, playing at home against Man City. Now is, can you do it again? And the only positive, I'm trying to look for positives. The only positive again is that although Arsenal made a lot of changes in the game against Inter, they still had the travelling time and that. And, United, because they're not very good at the moment, don't have any midweek games. So, Mickey again would have had time to work on the training pitch. They would have slept well. They'd have eaten well. So, I'm looking for little possible reasons why they might get a draw out of it. But no, I still fancy Arsenal to be too strong because ultimately they're just that much better than United.
What are you scoffing and laughing about, Crook?
It was just Scott having a little pop there by saying because United are not very good, they haven't got any midweek games. Listen, what I'm almost certain of is they will turn up and perform because they always do in the big games. That's why that Manchester City game wasn't a complete surprise to me. I don't think this is where you really test Michael Carrick. I think the bigger tests are ahead because after Arsenal, you look at United's run of games, they are favourable. But these are the games that over the course of not just this season, but actually under numerous managers, they've struggled to get up for. Fulham at home, I think, is not too far away. Everton away, they've got West Ham again to play as well. That's when you'll find out just how much of a corner they've turned under Michael Carrick.
Interesting, because we've had, what is it now, 10 days? Not even that, actually. Probably only 9 days of Michael Carrick. And Crook hasn't deviated from his course that he should just be the interim manager. How long before he flip-flops? If they beat Arsenal, the hysteria is going to go into overdrive, isn't it? Yeah, it'd be fascinating.
Well, you'll have to certainly bring me down off the press room ceiling if we do win at the Emirates.
It's going to be like when we went to Manchester City the other year, when we're in the press box at Manchester City and they scored 2 late goals to come from behind to win the derby. And it was like, I was like, like when you're physically restraining someone, sit down, you are in a press box, calm yourself. He was up, like giving it like that. And I was like, no, sit down.
You know what? He was
thrown out.
He was like that in the press room at Stamford Bridge as well when we were watching the game. And, him and Leanne, it was almost like, kick these two out, will you please? For goodness sake.
Yeah. There's not a great deal of professionalism about the fella, is there? Let's be completely honest. Even though he's dressed up all refined today, trying to imitate a college professor or a maths genius, he actually is a bit rough and ready, really. And that's how we like him. That is for sure.